Well, the schedule is out. We ready to rock and roll, and I had to bring my big dog in, my man Darren Smith, to talk a little Chiefs, talk a little Browns, talk a little schedule, talk a little NFL in general, and we got a jam-packed show ready for you right here on this episode of The Ultimate Browns. Welcome on into the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. It's your boy G. Bush. Ultimate Browns is back ready to go, and we got another great guest for you. Darren Smith, KOKC Radio in Kansas City, two-time defending champions. Darren, how you doing? Are you still celebrating your win right now, or what are we doing now?
Well, unfortunately, it's the last day of school, so I got to pick these kids up at 3 o'clock, then I'm through. Got Chiefs mini camp next week, and then we got something special taking place in June that the players are going to be getting a little jewelry. Let's just say some jewelry, in June that I got to cover, at least do some red carpet stuff for. So, all in all, glad the schedule came out. Can't wait to come to Cleveland in mid-December. You know, be a guest on you all show, and of course, get some of the hospitality I've been hearing so much about.
Hey, listen, what we gonna do, I'm gonna have you, when you come, I'm gonna have you over the house. Listen, I'm gonna get you together.
Say less. Say less.
My wife is we gonna cook you up something nice. We gonna hang out, man.
We gotta go to that barbecue joint though. That you all went to. I got yeah.
We there.
I'm gonna bring my sauce, and we're gonna do the thing, because you know what I'm saying. Look, hey, before we start the show, I had to have some of my Gates barbecue, so
man,
it is.
It's gonna be a good time, man. And let's dive right into the schedule. You know, the schedule is out. The schedule has been released, and the Cleveland Browns, boy, they got themselves into a really crazy schedule game. Let's take a look at it right here. 2024 Browns schedule. Week 1. They start off with the Cowboys. Week 2, they got at Jacksonville. Week 3, they got the Giants at home. You see, they have the Raiders week 4. Week 5 is the Commanders. Week 6 is to me, at Philadelphia, one of the biggest games that they got. The Eagles look to bounce back from what they did last year. Week 7 is the first division game. Then we got back-to-back division games. Week 8, week 9, you got Harbaugh and the Chargers coming in town. And then you got to buy in the middle of the week, right? But buy in the middle of the season is a little early for my blood. I like to get my buys
early.
I want my buys late. Give me the latest buy. Last year, I think it was what we had, week 6?
Week 5. Yeah, week 5.
It was out of here. You go to
the Ravens out there is week 14. So I feel sorry for them.
We got the follow-up by the Saints, and here's where the schedule gets crazy for me. I do believe week 11, Darren, is a trap game. You got the Steelers week 12, and then look at the schedule. Week 12, you got the Steelers. Week 13, Broncos. Then you go back to the Steelers, right? Week 15, you got the Chiefs. I will get to that later on in the show. Watson versus your boy Patrick Mahomes. We got the Bengals as well, the Dolphins, and then we end up with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Darren, as you look at this and we talk about the schedule, what sticks out to you in terms of the Browns schedule and how things are moving?
Well, the thing, and I jumped on a couple of spaces when the schedule was released. I know one of the Cleveland, Dr. Watson, a few others, they have the spaces on Twitter that I jumped on Wednesday. What I like about it is that you get a chance to get a taste right off the bat to make sure that the Browns are either for real or they're frauds, and you do that against the Dallas Cowboys. Look, if you were to go up against the Washington Commanders, yeah, you might be able to get a quick win, but you can't really tell, if this team is for real or for show. The Cowboys always going to be America's team. You got Tom Brady making his debut, but you get put on the national stage right off the bat, and you get to prove yourself right off the bat to show that last year wasn't a fluke. Kevin Stefanski earned being Coach of the Year. Myles Garrett earned being DPOY, and is Deshaun Watson the Deshaun Watson that signed for this 5-year, $230 million guaranteed contract. And I think this game, is just going to be, to me, it sets the tone for the season for you all.
That's it. I listen, that game right there, the Skip Bayless is watching, Stephen A watching, Nick Wright, all of the big pundits, everybody that's on, Colin Cowherd will be watching. This is the game where I feel that they took the Cleveland Browns off the unofficial blackout.
Well, look, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. I still think, and here it is today, May 17th. We come back around, after this first game, but I truly believe, even going up, leading up to kickoff, I still think that the Browns are going to be like an afterthought. I think, you mentioned Skip Bayless and Stephen A. and Colin. I still think everything is going to be about Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. It's not going to be anything about, what Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns might do in this game. It's all going to be, to me, the storyline is all going to be about Dak Prescott, his contract, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, and getting off to a strong start. And it won't be until, like I said before, what the Browns do in their game for them to win. But I can tell you, even come out of that win, Skip basically will still be talking about the production of what Dak Prescott did and not what the Cleveland Browns did, which, again, I don't know if it's a double-edged sword or just because it's the Cowboys or whether or not people are just going to disrespect the Browns until the Browns, win the division and, do something in the playoffs. So that's my opinion about it, but that's how I think that the narrative is going to play out over these next few months.
So, since you said that, I definitely wholeheartedly agree that the referendum will be on the Cowboys. If the Browns win the game, they talk about why the Cowboys lost, what was wrong with CeeDee Lamb, what was Dak doing. Then you come back week 2 against the Jaguars. It's Jacksonville. It's at Jacksonville. They don't even have really a really strong base to even stir up anything. You got the Giants and Daniel Jones. You're supposed to win that game. You're supposed to win the game against the Raiders, and you're supposed to win the game against a rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, with the Commanders. I think that when people will start to look up is week 6 when they go to Philadelphia, because then that's another team that has Super Bowl aspirations. That's another team that felt like they got let down at the end of the year and has a lot of talent. Saquon Barkley is over there. I think people will circle that game going into Philadelphia as a game that says, okay, well, let's see if these dudes is for real.
So I agree. Look, for me, as I mentioned before last week on the Spaces, I could see the Browns being 5-0, at worst 4-1. And the one loss would be for me if it were to come against the Cowboys and it's like a last drive type deal where the Cowboys come from behind or whatever or hold off the Browns to win. But like I said, to me, I think being at home, season opener, crowd is going to be crazy. I think that you all can get the Cowboys. The second game on the road against the Jaguars, for me, the question will be, how do you all handle the humidity in September in Jacksonville? Because it does get hot down there on that field in Jacksonville. So if they can get past that middle ground, I still think they're the better team. They should be able to win. Week 3, they should be able to win. Week 4, again, I don't know what the Raiders are going to look like at quarterback. They got the skill position, and of course you got Max Crosby. So that's going to be a tough game. It could be a situation where they lose, but I still think that because I think they have a better quarterback in the Browns and a better team, I think that the Browns should win that game. Washington, I think they should win that as well. Again, as you talked about it in week 6 against the Eagles, I just think I think that game could go down to the wire. All these games are going to be truth tellers and will give you an idea of where this team is, how they play, how the 60 minutes go. Again, I think going into week number 6, you should be at worst 4-1, maybe 3-2. But I think that you go into Philly at 5-0, and then if you knock out Philadelphia, that's when I think people are going to take you seriously, because then you got the division games against the Bengals and the Ravens, and people are really going to sit back and like, well, damn, okay, is Deshaun Watson is playing like he's Houston Deshaun Watson again. Everything is going to be dependent upon Deshaun being healthy and playing at a high level. Because I can assure you, going through 5 quarterbacks ain't going to work this year with this schedule.
They have one quick thought about this. I think week 7, you set yourself up. I think that Nick Chubb does not see the field until week 7. You get to bring him back in against the Bengals. It'll be a primetime game. You'll be able to. No, actually, I think that game is 1:00.
Honestly, I think you bring him back against the Eagles.
You
No,
want
no,
him back
no,
in
no,
against
no,
Eagles?
no. Actually, I want him back against Washington. Give him a chance to ramp up. You just don't throw him out there against a division rival. I think you give him a chance to ramp up, and Washington would be a good game to ramp up against.
Yeah, now that you say that, I think that wouldn't be a bad place because here's the thing. You don't want to bring them back. I mean, week 6, week 7, that's tough.
Like, that's what I'm saying. So we find you get him some snaps to kind of ramp him back, get him in football, quote unquote, football shape. Let him get some hits because again, you going up against a division rival, teams know each other. You don't want them getting knocked around right off the bat against the Bengals and the Ravens because those are going to be physical games already. So if you're going to take some hits, get them ramped up, a couple weeks before against Washington.
Before we wrap this segment up, as you look at the way it plays out, I agree with you. I'm looking at a 4-1. That would be a beautiful thing to me. 4-1, even if you lose the opener, but Deshaun Watson is throw for 300 plus, give me 2-3 touchdowns. I wouldn't mind if they at the end couldn't hold it down the last second drive. I'm cool with that. But if they get up,
I'm gonna be honest right quick. If Deshaun Watson is airing it out and he's putting points on the board, it's hard for me to see that defense and I don't forget the guy's name. We talked about him all last year.
Miles
No, your D coordinator.
Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, Jim Schwartz. So it'll be hard for me to see that defense giving us so many points with the lead. Going back and forth. I can't see the defense giving up that many points like that if Deshaun Watson is balling out.
Right. And so that's the great thing about it because the defense is so good that even if Deshaun Watson throwing up touchdowns like that, you asking what the heck was happening on defense? If they do get off to a 4-1 start, 5-0, a lot of the pundits, national, and a lot of people got the Browns anywhere from 8 to 10, maybe 11 wins. What are your thoughts on what this that win-loss total could be if they do get off to a good start?
Even if they get out to a slow start, I think at worst the record would be 11-6. I think at best they could go 14-3. Now again, it's all contingent upon Deshaun Watson being healthy and playing well. If he's not there, then that's that's a whole different conversation. But if he plays all 17 games and plays at a Deshaun Watson level, I don't see with the talent, the play calling that Stefanski has shown that he's able to do in the defense. I see no reason why this team can't be, at worst 11-6, at best 14-3.
Yeah, I'm in the same ballpark. But like you said, it all depends on what Deshaun Watson does, and he has to come out, I believe, and do his best work in the early part of the season to get confidence behind him and figure out whether he is completely back or not. We're gonna hit to our first break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about the most anticipated games, right? The most games that you want to see, right? In the 2024 season. We'll come back and do it. It's G. Bush, Darren, right here on the Ultimate Brown Show. The NBA playoffs are in full effect, and my dream would be scoring courtside seats. Game Time is the authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in-one prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. And what I love most about the Game Time app is the last-minute tickets, the flash deal, the zone deals, easy to find and buy MLB tickets as well. And for every kind of event in your area, that goes for concerts, WWE, all types of entertainment, the Game Time app has you covered. Views from all of your seats and venue, and the lowest price guarantees, even event cancellation protection and job loss protection, etc. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON. That's LOCKEDON SHOWDOWN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back to the Ultimate Browns. G. Bush and my man Darren Smith covers the Kansas City Chiefs, preferably in the NFL. Make sure you follow him at Darren Smith NFL. Darren, let's take a look at this. I wanted to throw this up a little bit too, because I want to get to your schedule a little bit, right? So we got the Chiefs schedule up here a little bit too. One of my games that I'm anticipating, and I threw it up here, is because you got the Baltimore Ravens out the gate. The Baltimore Ravens, then the Bengals out the gate. What are your thoughts? Because those are two games I'm anticipating, because I need y'all to do me a favor, a solid. We need y'all to take them up out of here. What are your thoughts on the Ravens week 1 and then the Bengals week 2?
Well, first of all, you already read my mind, because that's what I mentioned the day that the game was announced. I plan on trying to do you all a solid and put them 0-2. You all said do your part and win your 2 games to start the season off. Look, I'm like Travis Kelce. I'd rather get these games out the way, get the tough game, and I don't want to make light of the rest of the schedule, but get these kind of tough games out the way, because it may play a factor into seeding, playoff seeding later on in the year. And so I do like the fact that you play Lamar Jackson first, you play Joe Burrow, and I understand too why the league did it, because you kind of want those quarterback matchups out the way early, because you had Burrow scheduled, I think, for New Year's Eve last year, and he was injured, so he couldn't play in that game. So, you get these matchups, and any game Kansas City plays in, there's always a quarterback matchup type deal. Who's he facing and how that game is going to play out. So, for us, they're used to it over the last 4 or 5 years now, since they've had the best record, and coming off a Super Bowl loss, the team has always had a tough schedule. So, it's nothing new, and I'm just thinking about all the traveling miles that we're going to be picking up this year. So,
listen, you are indeed a frequent flyer. Y'all cats
trying to get that gold medallion status now.
I look at that, and week 2 against the Bengals, Joe Burrow, and I told people before like this. I mean, people talk about Watson being injured. I think Joe Burrow about another injury away from being injury prone. He's coming back. It's it was his throwing wrist that he was throwing the football to. They got some weird stuff going out there. Hendrickson wants a new deal. T. Higgins wants a new deal, and we already know that the Bengals ain't all for giving everybody no money. Everybody gonna get no money out there. What do you make of the Bengals? And a lot of people have just put them right back in place where they were. Burrow's back. They're going to be good. They're Super Bowl contenders. Where do you kind of, stand on that?
Honestly, I'm over it. I think it's more so hype. Again, to me, I think it's just another way to try to put somebody on the same level as Patrick Mahomes. Yes, Joe Burrow, does have technically he does have a winning record against Mahomes. But when it matters most, these teams, every quarterback they try to put up against Mahomes seems to falter. Yeah, you can have regular season success. I mean, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you're playing to win Super Bowl championships. And Mahomes has 3, and everybody else outside of Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford and Russell Wilson don't have any. So it's real hard to really take these quarterback matchups and these teams serious, if you can't do it on a consistent basis. And so, the matchup against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, I mean, it's cool. If it helps them sleep at night to where they feel like they have a rivalry against the Chiefs, okay, it's fine. You got, Chiefs got 3 rings, you got 0. They can live with it.
Listen, hey, I always say
ring
this,
season.
man.
Hey, ring season is coming up in June, so they'll get a chance to get a Mahomes, something like that with his 3 Super Bowl rings or whatever. So.
Listen, I'll tell you what, man, we talked about it before, man. Listen, last year, everybody foretold it was they exaggerated the demise of the Chiefs, and they went on the road, and Baltimore ran the ball well all last year. Chiefs just went out there and played it different on them. And Lamar Jackson thought he was Dan Marino. I don't know what they was doing. But you look at what they were able to do. I said now, and this is why I went to Project Stockpile. And I want to get to this a little bit too. people I don't understand this. They're like, maybe they don't be watching the draft. Last year they beat y'all with Pacheco and Kelsey and a rookie Rice, right? This year they say, okay, we're gonna bring back Kelsey, right? But we don't get Hollywood Brown, and you went and got the speedster out of Texas. Now, Pat Mahomes didn't have no speed last year. Now you done gave him two of the fastest dudes in the league, and people are sitting around like that just didn't happen.
Hold on, that can catch as well.
Listen, this guy, the rich just keep getting richer, man. I don't know, man. We'll get to Pat Mahomes in Cleveland coming up in this next segment. But first, I want to get to this game too, and I want to get your thoughts on the Chargers. We got the Chargers week 9. A lot of people in my territory up here, Jason Lloyd, Bull, they just seem to think that the Chargers are Michigan West. Like Harbaugh will come up here and just run the ball down people's throat and have 96 tight ends. And I'm like, man, look, I like what I like some of the stuff that they've done. They've drafted some young kids. Okay, I like that. But they lost a lot on offense. They lost their 2 top receivers. They lost a lot. What are your thoughts out there? Because you see the Chargers a lot out there in the West. What are your thoughts on Harbaugh, what they can bring to the table, and what about Herbert and taking the next step?
I mean, I think Harbaugh makes him better. He's a better coach than Staley. The problem is Harbaugh's not playing. Harbaugh's not. He's not out there. He's not out there. Yeah, he ain't taking snaps. He's not out there going to football. Look, it's hard for me to say how the Chargers might do against the Browns simply because I think in that game he may rely on the run. See, the problem is when teams play against Patrick Mahomes, somehow, some way, inevitably, sometime during the ball game, the quarterback is going to try to think he can outdo Patrick Mahomes and will try to do stuff that's out of their system or that is out of character playing against the Chiefs because you're trying to one up Mahomes instead of just playing your game. When you mentioned AFC Championship game against Baltimore, I was pissed because I lost the parlay because they started running the damn football after the third play. I mean, who was it? Whoever the running back was, Bowser, whoever the running back was,
Hill,
had to get 25 yards, and he couldn't get that because they started running the football.
I lost the parlay that game too. I could not believe it. I said they started off running the football. I said there's no way. I think I had Lamar Jackson for over 60-something yards, and they ran the ball the first series, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be, I'm in here. There's no way. And these guys just turned into Warren Moon and the Oilers from the 80s, just chucking it around.
And so what happens is that when a team goes up against the Chiefs, they'll have a game plan. They'll have their scripted plays, but inevitably somewhere throughout the game, they'll go out of character and try to one up Mahomes because Mahomes might do something fascinating. And so the other quarterback feels like they got to go do something to top what he does instead of just playing the game. So when you ask about the Chargers and how they might do against Deshaun and the Browns, it depends on how that game goes. Mm-hmm. See, because Herbert might not view Deshaun as he views Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, because it's a division game, saying he feel like he got to go tit for tat. But Watson, he may not feel that way because Watson hasn't played like that since 2020. If Deshaun Watson is showing that he can do that throughout the games, throughout the weeks leading up to week 9, then maybe he might have a quote-unquote quarterback duel where he might feel like he may have to outshine him. But again, with the way your defense is stacked and how they played, if that defense replicates anything what they did last year, Deshaun doesn't have to play 300 yards a game, 3-4 touchdowns. He can, I'm not saying he wants to play average because we don't want that for someone who's getting paid that kind of money. But with that defense, if the defense can replicate anywhere near top 5 what they did last year, then defensively you all will be great. The offense should just be able to contribute and put Herbert and the Chargers in place. And the other thing is they got so many new players. I don't know how long it's going to take them to get to gel and to get things on track.
Yeah, listen, they got a lot of different stuff that they got to do. There's a lot of new people they got to incorporate. It's a new offense there. So it's one of those things where it all depends on what the offense looks like, in the first part of the season.
And
Before
I
we
don't
get
trust
started.
Justin Herbert either. When it's all said, I don't trust him.
Yeah, you've been on that. You've been on that for a minute. Like this ain't just your first rodeo with that, man.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about he's top five. To me, not only to me is he average. He could have numbers, but their record is 500. He's an average quarterback. I mean, I can't. You are what your record says you are. And when he got to the playoffs, he had a 4-touchdown lead and blew it in the second half.
I'm still thinking he's still thinking about them Jaguars. When we come back, we're gonna get into the matchup that we all want to see, man. Kansas City, week 15. We gonna break that thing down like we always do. G. Bush Darren right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Browns Show. I tell you what. One thing that we always got going on over here is we got multiple shows. We've been doing our thing over here at the UCSS Network. Make sure if you're a Guardians fan, one of the best baseball podcasts in the game, Zach Miles will out on Bull every single Monday right here on the UCSS Network. Tuesday, Jason Lloyd just broke a crazy story, had the internet going crazy. But if you was watching Ultimate Cavaliers, you would have known what was going on. Mikey McNuggets, Jason Lloyd. It's going to be a crazy offseason. Spider Mitchell. He said it was Cap. He said y'all was lying on him. We gonna figure out who the Cavs get in the offseason. It's gonna be a crazy offseason for the Cleveland Cavaliers as well. My man Earl the Pearl, I was just on there. Ultimate 216, I was just on yesterday. Make sure y'all check out that episode. We might do 10K over there. Make sure you check out his. It's a mix of sports and culture. Ultimate 216, and then of course, yours truly every Monday and Friday with the guest of fans, G. Bush. I'll be having Quincy Carrier on. I'll be having Tyvis Powell. I got Darren Smith on. We got a cast of friends over there at Ultimate Browns. Keep that lock, and we'll continue to bring you that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when we're going live.
I watched that Ultimate 216 last night. You and Earl did a good job. Just want to make sure I told you that.
I appreciate you. Earl hit me up. He said, "Yo, can you come on?" I said, "I got you." They was talking about the loss, so I didn't get a chance to get my money off. So that was strategic.
You got to have me on with Tyvis. My eyes yet to be on the show when Tyvis is on there, man.
Man, look, listen. Stop splitting us apart. We united.
Now, you know what it is. The day y'all had that Cleveland Brown player on. And it was a whole soul.
That was it. It was a whole.
They said, no, not no more.
Well, Darren, let's get to the game that we want to talk about. The 15th, man. 15th week of the season. We got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Cleveland Browns. And look, it's kind of weird because at one point in time, we thought this thing was going to be a bubbling rivalry with the Browns and the Chiefs. A couple of years ago, we go to Arrowhead. We play them the first game of the season after we lose in Arrowhead. Both games really close. I think the Browns matched up well. We thought it was going to be Baker Mayfield versus Patrick Mahomes for a long period of time. And then the Bengals kind of just jumped in, stole that a little bit. And then the Ravens, Ravens are always a 13-win team. And then, the Chiefs gave it to the Ravens too. So, now it's back to a point where now you got a chance to get to Chiefs again. And people forget, for a lot of people in the league, as far as quarterbacks was concerned, young guys, it was Patrick Mahomes, and then right up underneath him was Deshaun Watson. I remember a couple of years ago, that was what people were saying. We've come a long way, and Patrick Mahomes that went to the stratosphere. There ain't nobody above Patrick Mahomes, including Deshaun Watson. But if Deshaun Watson can have a good game, I don't say ain't not many people gonna go throw for throw with I ain't saying all that. But if he has a good game against the Chiefs, I think that game against the Chiefs can do more than any other game when it comes to rehabilitating his image about what he can be on the field. What are your thoughts?
I think for the Browns late in the season, for them to be taken seriously, I know they have the Steelers, I think either the week before or the week after the Chiefs. For them to be taken seriously, the Browns need to beat the Chiefs and need to beat them in convincing fashion. That's my opinion. when it comes to Deshaun Watson being quote unquote back elevated up now because he can play well throughout the season whether or not he gets the respect or MVP stuff or whatever. But if they have a good record going into that Week 15 game, and that game is at home now. I thought that they would play a night game. I know the Chiefs had 5 primetime games, so that game could be flexed into a night game, which it's going to mess my schedule up because I don't know. Because right now it's a 1 o'clock game, so I'd be returning back to Kansas City that night versus the next day if it's a night game. So got to try to see how that plays out as we get closer to the game. So, but if the Browns can have a good record going into that game and can beat Kansas City convincingly, I think that I know Jason and I think somebody else on the show yesterday talked about them when think that that's going to be a win for the Browns. But if that can happen, not only will it elevate the Browns and Deshaun Watson, but the expectation of what it will do for the city of Cleveland, I think will be off the charts. Now I don't think that they're going to beat Kansas City. Let's put that out there right away. But if that were to happen, I think that would be good for the city of Cleveland and would be good for people having goodwill towards Deshaun Watson.
I look at that game and there's something to be said. If you want to beat a champ, you got to beat the champ, right? And there's a lot of people who what I'm saying may not like it, but unless you beat the Chiefs, unless you figure out how to beat Patrick Mahomes, all of y'all, he messing around with your legacies right now. And I told people, and it's a Browns podcast, I'm like, listen, he's doing cats like Jordan right now. There's some great players who may end up with no rings. That's Josh Allen and Herbert and some of these other young guys that we Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson. There's a bunch of guys. There's a bunch of nice, young, talented quarterbacks that are looking at a guy who happens to be in his prime and born the same time as you. And until you get him up out of here, it's going to be a long haul. Just getting to the AFC Championship in the AFC is crazy. And it just goes to show you, what the gauntlet looks like. All of us are going to get a chance to get a shot at him. I would rather play him earlier than late.
Honestly, look, last year for Kansas City, it was good for them to go on the road. You had the initial home game because they won the division, but then playing the other games on the road to win the Super Bowl. So the whole narrative that Mahomes needed to be at home to go to Super Bowl and win it is thrown out the window. Now it doesn't matter. He showed he can go on the road, win at home. To be honest, I tell people this all the time, and it's hard to explain. I know we only have a few minutes left on the show, but it's hard to explain the difference in what Kansas City does and how everybody else approaches it. Kansas City had to get over that hump when it came to New England, and once they did that, once they beat New England in New England in 2019, they had the confidence that if they faced New England in the playoffs again on the road in New England, that they could beat them and win a Super Bowl. They were able to do whatever they needed to do. Now they got over the hump. They know what it's like to win the Super Bowl, but they also know what it's like to be embarrassed in the Super Bowl with the loss to Tampa Bay. And so that left the taste in their mouth. So they felt what it's like to lose an AFC Championship game and a Super Bowl and what it's like to win. And the confidence that they have from Andy Reid, the owner, Clark Hunt, and the players on down, that's something that they instill. Well, when I say the difference between the Chiefs and everyone else is, when I say they are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice, they sacrifice personal lives, stuff, all the stuff with Taylor Swift or whatever. They don't allow it to be a distraction because they don't allow that to seep into the locker room. I mean, when I say that they are focused. You don't hear too many teams in any sport talk about running it back or what their goal is to win a Super Bowl. They're talking about three-peating. Now, the closest team that has come to three-peat was the San Francisco 49ers when they lost to the Giants in the 1990 NFC Championship game. The Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes has already talked about running that same play that they won Super Bowl against the 49ers. He's talking about doing that in New Orleans next February. That's where he's at. He's not worried about how the regular season. All he's thinking about is the Super Bowl and what plays that they're going to run. That's the type of mindset that they have that separates them from everyone else. And if the Browns and everybody else can have that type of mind frame where they're willing to sacrifice, and look, there are distractions. Harrison Butker, Rashee Rice. Fortunately, this is way in the offseason versus in the season. it was in the season, we have a different conversation. But you can deal with this 4 months before the season begins. But when the season starts, all this distraction stuff is not going to seep into the locker room, and that's what's going to separate them from everyone else.
Darren, I ain't even gonna step on that. I'm gonna just roll out on that. Yeah, that was a speech that the Browns need to take heed, and the Browns fans need to hear and understand. So, with that being said, it's the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports, especially when you got great guests like Darren Smith. Thank you so much, my brother, for coming on.
Anytime, bro. You already know.
All right, and it's for everybody else. You already know. I'll be back. I'll be back Monday. Make sure you check me out Monday. They be having me doing all kinds of shows. I'll be back Monday. You already know what it is. If you want to find out what G. Bush is, you got listed for the Clippers. Have a great weekend and go Browns.